Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses, show we watch all the hits we've missed. This season we're watching time loop movies, if you've heard this before. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as
Hi,
always is Moonpier.
howdy. You almost said where we play all the roguelikes ever, didn't you?
I don't know what you're talking about. We got two movies left here. We got two
Mhm.
time loopers here. This time we're gonna watch Palm Springs. This is the one I think I've been the most excited for in this whole season. You know, we've had a couple of unknowns here, a couple of ones that seemed like they're guaranteed hits, especially Edge of Tomorrow that we just finished. But
Mhm.
I feel like Palm Springs is the one that kind of came out of nowhere for me, and everybody seemed to love it.
Yeah. Now it's worth mentioning that I absolutely despise Andy Samberg. Like
Okay,
right off the bat.
okay. As someone who just finished watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that is a genuine surprise.
Honestly, I watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine in spite of Andy Samberg, and also
Okay.
to be honest, because in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Samberg is a very toned down version of himself. It
Sure.
feels
So,
like.
so are you talking about you dislike Andy Samberg, the human, or the actor?
The actor. I don't
Okay.
know a thing about him as a human, so I don't
Mm.
know what he's like as a
Which
as a real person.
is probably a good sign that he's probably an all right dude. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't really feel like typing actor's name controversy into Google every single time we record one of these episodes because there is many actors and many controversies that we could go over.
yeah, yeah.
But no, it's everything I've seen him before Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I've hated him in. Like,
Sure.
as much as I hate to admit it, he is in the OC Saturday Night Live sketch with the
Yes.
Ooh, What You Say. He's
Yep.
in that one. Um, I saw the trailer for Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, but never
Mm.
actually watched it.
I haven't
Um,
watched it yet because I'm saving that for a day where I really need a comedy that I know I will enjoy.
okay, but from what I've seen of the trailer, I really don't like that.
Hmm.
And also, I'll be honest, his character on Parks and Rec just drove me insane.
The always yelling park
Uh-huh.
guy. Yeah.
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 So basically, until I watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, everything I'd seen with him in,
Sure.
I did not like.
Well, I feel like for a long time he was kind of always playing that same character in movies. It's the like the Seth Rogen problem, where it's like, all right, yeah, you're probably gonna play this kind of dumb stoner dude that you know gets into some sort of mischief. Oh, look, whoops, here's another one.
Mhm.
Like it felt very
Get
much
instead of a
like
character.
yeah, like it felt very much like he was, whether he's just starting out or whether it was sort of purposeful. It felt very much like he was in the same roles. Much as I like Hot Rod, if I'm in the right mood, that's
I
definitely an.
don't even know what that is.
Don't watch it; you're not gonna like it. It's very much a comedy that like me and two other people really like, but
Mhm.
you sort of have to be in the right mood um, for what that movie is. But yeah, like I don't blame you. Like he was that character for a really long time.
Yeah, it's loud comedy, and
Yep.
like I've never been a huge fan of loud comedy. That's why
Hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of Monty Python because all of the Monty Python comedy feels very loud.
Sure.
I like my subtle humor, my IT crowd humor, that
Right.
kind
Stuff
of.
has some room to breathe.
Yeah, I much prefer the quieter things rather
Mm,
than the loud, obnoxious kind of comedy. It's
right.
also the reason why I don't watch quote unquote cringe comedies. So
Mm.
I've seen the first Hangover. I haven't seen any of the other Hangovers. I've never seen. I don't like watching comedies where it seems to be all based around the cringe factor.
You got your teeth gritted the whole time, like, ooh, oh, this is
Yeah,
awkward.
like like I'm a very sympathetic person.
Sure.
So like when there's an angry scene, I feel the anger. I don't
Hmm.
smash stuff, but I feel the anger. When there's a sad scene, I feel the sadness. And when it's a cringe scene, I cannot stand the
Yeah.
secondhand feeling of that. Like I haven't watched any of The Office, English
Well,
or American, for
yeah.
that reason.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Some of the American Office gets real bad. Yeah, I am usually not the biggest fan of that sort of humor either because the comedies that I like are really. I want it to be weird. Like I just want it to be. I want it to be one of those things where I'm like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, and the rest of this packed movie theater is just like, this is the weirdest thing. This is the weirdest
Mhm.
comedy that this one annoying dude in the back is laughing at. It was like, yep, that's me.
Like everyone sings the praises of MacGruber. I don't know if I would like that movie and now TV show apparently.
I feel like that's probably one I would enjoy. If you lean into the stupidity of it, I'm not entirely
Mhm.
sure if it's stupid. I don't know if it's stupid or not, but if you can lean into it, maybe you'll have a good time.
I think The Other Guys is another good example of it,
I feel
with
like I
Terry
have
Crews
seen
and
that movie, and I don't remember any of it.
Terry Crews and The Rock are in it, and they kill themselves in like the first 2 minutes of the movie by jumping off a building because they believe, like as bros, that they can survive it. I
Okay,
think
man, maybe I've seen that movie. I don't remember. That sounds like something I would probably find pretty
it's a
funny,
Will
though.
Ferrell movie. So,
Yeah, I've probably seen it. Yeah. Anyways,
oh
Palm
wait, no,
Springs.
it's not even Terry Crews. It's Samuel L. Jackson, I think.
Oh, that's even better. Um, yeah, so Palm Springs, we got Andy Samberg
Mm-hmm.
here, sort of starring in a role that I'm expecting. I'm expecting some of the maybe classic Andy Samberg tomfoolery in here, but I could see this being a movie where he is leaning into kind of the more dramatic side of his acting chops.
Well, why would you need to be dramatic in a time loop movie, dude?
Right. I feel like every time loop movie needs to get sad at some point. So like
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be like what is my life? Why am I not only why am I doing this loop? What am I doing with my life? Am I leading a
Mm-hmm.
good life over and over again forever? So I feel like if there's a chance for him to get a little more dramatic acting, then
Okay. Okay. You think
that
this is the Groundhog Day problem of, do you try and create the perfect day and see if that fixes the issue?
yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to be the crux of the movie, but I feel like what we have learned by looping many times this season is that there's inevitably going to be like, all right, I'm going to have I'm going to do everything right. Whoops, it still fails. Um,
Mhm.
and
Um,
go ahead.
this is something that I should have been asking the whole season long, to be honest.
Hmm.
How many loops?
Oh boy, yeah. Is this a short looper or a long looper? Because
Mhm.
last one
Is
was
it
a mini looper.
mm-hmm. A many, many looper based on the.
Yeah, and I think you look at something like Happy Death Day, and that's a few looper.
I
Um,
think that's a medium, and then looper itself is obviously a short looper because it's
that's
literally one loop.
right. One point something. Um, I don't know. I feel like this is probably going to be a medium one. I feel like
Okay.
if it is primarily focused on the kind of two main characters here, um, I feel like this might be one where it's more about their relationship than it is about the looping itself.
Okay. And you said we're going to go with a. Is it going to be mostly a drama with some comedy, mostly a comedy with some drama? How are you thinking?
I feel like it's probably going to be a healthy mix of the two. Like, there's going to be a lot of comedic moments. Probably going to start uh, funny. It's a Shakespearean tragedy. It's going to start funny
Mhm.
and sad. Um, that's probably with some funny stuff mixed in there. We had Happy Death Day had the naked loop where it's like, yeah, that's pretty funny. So I'm sure it'll be one of those where it's like, here's the soup. We all have guns suddenly. All right, next one. Like something like that.
Oh boy. So other than Andy Samberg, do you know anybody else?
No, not that I know of. No, I feel like I feel
Okay.
like because of um how much people genuinely liked this movie when it came out. Um, and we're recording here at the end of 2021, so this movie's only a year old. Um, I feel like this is one I have sort of gone out of my way to not look at stuff.
Hmm.
Because that's the fun of loop movies, is like, how's the loop start? How long is the loop? How many loops does it go? How do they escape the loop? Like, what are all kind of the terms around it? And reading any of the stuff around that might kind of spoil that a little bit.
Do they escape the loop is a good question.
Sure, yeah, that's a great question. Are they trapped in the loop forever? Yeah,
Literally sounds like hell.
yeah, it really does. Yeah, there's a Dante's Inferno movie for you.
Uh-huh.
Time loop in Dante's
Um,
Inferno.
oh jeez. And it would be just like your worst day ever.
Hmm.
So this did break records because this was a Hulu original, I
Oh,
believe,
okay.
and it absolutely destroyed the release viewings for like Hulu release.
Okay.
Um, like by a long shot is what I'm hearing,
Hmm.
which I think is probably in ode to the fact that Andy Samberg was in it, which he was at the height of the Brooklyn Nine-Nine at that point,
Very much so. Yeah.
and they promoted this thing out the wazoo.
Yes, they
Like
really did.
it's so good. And obviously, like word of mouth gets around pretty quickly because we know somebody who adores this movie,
Hmm.
and he would not shut up until everybody watched it. Like, literally, I think the day I watched this, I texted that specific person, and I was like, "So I've seen it, and I think X, Y, and Z about it," and we got in like an hour and a half long conversation through text about the movie itself.
Oh, nice.
So,
Well, and I feel like when this was released, I think we were starting to see this big wave of um, big budget pandemic streaming movies. So I think they were saying like, "Yo, usually you'd have to go to a theater to see something like this, but like, I can just sign up for a free trial of Hulu and go watch it." Like, so I feel like that might have sort of boosted numbers too. Where it's like, hey, this is like a real movie and not some sort of
I
Netflix thing.
I was just checking, and yeah, it was all released directly to Hulu due to COVID-19.
Yeah, yeah,
I honestly don't see this film doing well in the theaters. I hate to say that, I don't. I
right.
don't see it garnering the reputation it did if it just got dumped out with everything else at the time. Like Black Widow would have come out in the theaters around about this time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to get dumped on by whatever MCU Disney property is released
Exactly.
that week.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Any final thoughts here for Palm Springs?
No, this is a very interesting movie. I
Hmm.
remember a lot about this. There's certain things I don't remember. Um, I'm very curious to see how you feel coming out the back end of this one.
Hmm. All right. Well, let's go watch the movie.
Boy.
Welcome back. This is definitely the first time we recorded this. Definitely not
Uh-huh.
this only the second recording I'm doing in 2022. Not a big deal. We've watched the
Uh-huh.
movie. We've seen Palm Springs.
Uh-huh.
Um, boy, I just
Uh-huh. So, out of curiosity,
yeah.
when you saw that Lonely Island title card come up,
Uh-huh.
did this movie then go on to be what you were expecting it to be, or is it different to what you were expecting it to be?
I would probably say different. I'm a big fan of Lonely Island. I unfortunately haven't seen Pop Star Never Stoppin', which I
Uh-huh.
know I will like, especially because I like mockumentary stuff. Um, Okay, let's get this out of the way at the beginning. I really wish I had seen this way earlier. I really like this movie a whole lot. It's incredible. Um,
So you kind of wish you had someone to talk about it with right now, I'm guessing.
yeah, it.
So that's the call to arms, by the way, Mackie. Time to at Boston on Discord,
Oh,
if you
don't worry, we've
please.
been talking about it. I usually try not to like. So story time. When I was in, I think it came out when I was in college. Requiem for a Dream came out.
Okay.
I saw that
Maybe I'll never watch again.
100%. It's not eligible for this show. Sorry, anyone.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Um, I saw it in the theaters, and
Mhm.
it was one of those movies like cinema. Like I really loved it, and taking into account that it's a horrific, terrible story, but like it's an incredibly well-made movie. And when it
Yeah.
came out on DVD, I bought it, fully never intending to watch it again. But I shared it with a coworker. I gave it to him and said, like, look, I really love this movie. It's some heavy content in it, but I think you should watch it.
Content warnings abound.
Right. And do you remember what the biggest criticism of that movie was when it came out? There was one specific phrase that everybody kept parroting.
There's a couple that spring to mind, but none that everybody would be parroting.
MTV style quick cuts. That's what everyone kept saying.
Oh,
there's all these
yes.
MTV style quick cuts. And you kept seeing that every review, like every negative review was like, oh, the MTV. So I gave it to him, and he returned it to me, and he's like, I thought it was okay, but like all the MTV style quick cuts I just didn't really like. And I was like, I swear. So like, I don't blame him, like it's in people's nature to be like, I didn't like this thing. Let me go look at some reviews and stuff. So that's a long way around of saying I typically don't talk to other people after watching the movie. I don't read reviews and stuff because I feel like there are times where I sit down and like a movie or dislike it, and I read this stuff and I go, well, maybe it wasn't. Well, I don't know. Maybe I sort of start waffling.
Yeah, you don't want the external influence.
Right. I'd rather take the EGM approach.
Another way of saying MTV style editing is apparently post-classical Hollywood editing. By the way,
wow, that's
just if you want to get real pretentious.
Woof, yeah. So typically when I watch the movie, I jot down my thoughts. Oftentimes, because we talk about it in the show, I'll like try and check out some behind the scenes stuff where I'm like, when we watch Upgrade, I'll be like, how did they do the like flipping camera thing? Like, how do you even do that? And go watch some stuff about that. But I typically don't talk about this stuff. But I think the day after I watched her, a couple days after, I hit up friend of the show Mackie on Discord, and I was like, hi, you were right about this movie. I'm sure other people have told you this, but this movie was really incredible. I thank you for championing it. I needed to watch this thing.
So here's my version of that story is myself and Mackie don't text a whole lot back and forth to each other. When this came out, I'm pretty sure he said to me, you need to watch this movie, period. Like, I don't care. Like, I think we were talking about something else, and he was just like, yeah, you need to watch this movie. So I went,
he's like, shut up, watch Palm Springs.
I was like, fine, I'll watch it.
Right.
And then I sat down, I watched it, and 90 minutes later I texted him, I was like, okay, that's a really great movie. And he was like, that was quick. And I was like, you said to watch it, so I started watching it as soon as you said so.
You were very forceful about it, yeah. I think, so this is our fourth time loop movie this season, and I think the thing that really tickled me in the context of this season especially is that Niles is deep in the loop already. Like, he's made the mistakes, he's poked at all the variables, he's done all this stuff, and he's just bored. And like I think that's one of the most refreshing things about this movie is like he's got the whole thing figured out. Every person's life in anywhere near him is fully mapped out, and he's just like pulling on the strings, and he's just
Oh yeah,
bored. And that's so refreshing.
because the funny thing is, like, people have asked about this movie before. They've asked, like, okay, how long is he in the loop? Nobody answers. The answer
Yeah.
is anywhere between 50 to 5 million years. Take your pick.
Right, like, and it kind of doesn't matter because it's been long enough. It's been enough days that he's just like the fun and the newness of it has been sucked out, and now he's just kind of taking advantage of it.
So there is some really great moments that tell you he's been there done a lot longer than you think,
Yes.
which I'm sure we'll get to as we go through the movie.
Mhm.
Just some of the moments are incredible. And welcome to the reason I started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because I don't like Andy Samberg's face. I just don't.
Okay. Fair
He
enough.
has a face I want to punch.
Right.
It's that simple. And it's one of those things where watching this movie was like, okay, yeah, fine, he can act. I guess I better watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine now. I guess.
I guess he can act. All right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's. And this is the only the second time I've seen Kristen Milioti in something.
This is the very first time I saw her in anything, I think.
Only thing I've seen her in before is an episode of 30 Rock, where
Okay.
she pretends to be an incredibly stupid woman for seemingly no reason, but the reason that turns out is actually really bad. But yeah, I think that the thing that's interesting about this movie too is it has some interesting parallels to Happy Death Day, where they're both taking place on. I'm sure it's maybe not easier from a script writing perspective, but maybe more interesting, where if the loop movie takes place during a big day, it's not just like a Tuesday in June. It's a birthday, it's a wedding, it's there's enough people there, there's enough variables to kind of poke against. That I thought that was interesting, that he's repeating this wedding day over and over again.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that by their nature, these are also box episodes.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they're in a wedding in the middle of the desert, like in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Like you can't get a much better box episode than that. Yeah, I think it
I
starts.
have the loops, by the way. I did this.
Okay,
the same thing. I actually managed to write the loops down with this because there's more than just one.
Yeah, I'll let you drive this part then.
Okay, so first of all, like you mentioned, the setting, the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
You meet all of the main players, by which I mean the two main players.
I like
which
that
is
Niles. One of my favorite parts about Niles is nobody remembers who he is. And there's a really great scene like halfway through the movie. He's like, "Who are you?" And he goes, it's like a real long, and he pauses and he goes, "Missy's boyfriend."
And then everybody calls him that as well.
Right.
Like, everybody
It's
calls
really
him
good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm bad with names, so that worked out pretty nicely for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get introduced to the wedding, the progress of the wedding day, we'll say.
Yes.
Then we get introduced to the bride's sister, the maid of honor.
Right. Sarah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then shenanigans begins.
Right. They have a wild reception and wild night, let's say.
And they're in the middle of the desert. The things are about to get spicy, and then an arrow comes out of nowhere.
Niles gets shot by an arrow.
How did you react to this, by the way, when you were watching it?
That was genuinely one of the most surprising things in this movie, because I think Palm Springs probably loses a little bit of its charm because we already know it's a loop movie. Like that's kind of the unfortunate part of this season, is you're sort of, you lose that moment of like that quick cut where he's back in his bed, or he's, you know,
Oh,
he got killed by the enemy, he's back awake, you know, like you lose that moment. But that was a really great moment of like, what is actually happening here.
oh, yeah. You don't get the heat of the moment,
Right.
which is a real deep supernatural cut for any of my supernatural fans out there. That's a really good like deep cut for you. But yeah, like I like the fact that they just jump in and then
Yep.
that arrow comes in completely out of nowhere. Did you figure out who he was in his camouflage?
100%, it's J.K. Simmons. Like that, there's only one dude that has that voice, and I was just like, man, if this dude is in here too, like there's like 4 actors in this movie, and they're all really good.
Yeah, including Ryan and Seth's dad from the OC, who is
Yes.
the father of the bride.
Yep, that's
But yeah, so
Peter Gallagher, who is always
that's
so
the
good.
one.
Yep.
Yes, he is. So yeah, like so Arrow comes in, he gets shot, he starts running away, and I love the line, "I thought I smelled you," which is a nice. 'Cause having seen this movie now like 3 times, when he's actually at that table and the old lady comes up to talk to him about the speech, he's actually just sitting there sniffing the air, being like,
Right. Like, I know what's
and
something's going
and
on
he
here.
hears the rustling in the bushes, which makes him appear more nervous than when the drunk guy comes out. He's like, well,
Right.
he's getting nervous because he thinks that Roy is around.
And man, there's such a good, even if you haven't seen this movie before, this very first intro loop is so good, because like there's so many little breadcrumbs sprinkled through the entire thing. Like he's in the pool talking to that other guy. I mean, the other guy says something like, you know, tomorrow's another day, and he's like, yep, probably not. And you know, like there's all this little stuff of like, is it pessimism, or is it kind of he knows he's in the loop and he's just already done with it?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, then he crawls into the cave.
Yep.
Sarah has followed him, and he's like, "Don't follow me in here.
Right.
Whatever you do, don't follow me in here." And then, of course, she follows him in. We get the time for flashy eyes open, the snap awake kind of moment.
Yep.
Loop number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, number 2 for us, we'll say.
Right.
She's in the loop.
Yes.
We establish the rules of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
If you fall asleep, if you die, you end up waking up back at the start of the day. Doesn't matter how long you've been asleep, or how far away you get, or how long you've been awake, or how far away you get, you wake up back here again.
Right.
He does the talking about smoking a bunch of crystal meth and going all the way somewhere.
Equatorial New Guinea, I think it was. Like,
Yeah.
like, that's one of my favorite things, where it's just like, you have pushed this simulation to its furthest, and it's still, yeah, that was
like that. That's the thing I love is with references like that. It's just like, that's a very addictive substance.
that's right.
Now the question is, when the day resets, does all that vanish from his system?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So therefore, he doesn't have the addictive after effects of it, or is it a case of now he's got to spend X amount of years in the loop getting rid of his crystal meth addiction?
Man, there's another further loop too. I don't want to go too far ahead, but there's a further loop too where she's just like, well, I'm gonna crash this car into this truck, and he's just like, all right, it's gonna hurt. He's like, puts his head down. He's like starting to get.
He undoes his seatbelt and leans against the dashboard.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, I've done this all before, but get it out of your system. That's fine. Like, there's his resignation
that's
is great.
Loop 3.
Okay.
By the way,
Yeah.
That's legitimately loop 3.
Oh,
but yeah, established rules that she goes into the cave to try and make the day end, the day resets, so on and so forth. That's when we get the further rules. I love the "Are you cheating on me?" moment every morning from his from his girlfriend. It's like, no, dummy, you're literally cheating on me.
Right.
Which is so good. But yeah, the whole suicide loop is the third loop. Which that is so good. Like, just the way he it's. I will give him credit where it's due. The way he nonchalantly just sticks his head against that dashboard and is just like,
yep.
It's look. The day might not be real. Other people don't remember it as real, but the pain is real.
Yeah.
So I would much rather have this than a long, slow death in ICU,
Right.
which
It's
comes back again later, which is a great callback later on.
yep.
Loop 4 is the introduction of Roy, so more establishing of the loop. And wait, who was that guy who was chasing you with a bow?
Good question.
Uh-huh. That's Roy. So, do we want to talk about the magic powder fueled loop with Roy?
I like that the thing that both Roy and Sarah are mad about is that Niles has done it to someone else. Where it's like, this sucks. You did it to someone else? Like, how could you do this? Yeah, they have a hell of a party. J.K. Simmons is just such an incredible actor. Each and everything he's in. I watched him in a very different Marvel movie this past week, which was kind of an interesting whiplash.
Something for pre-show, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
Interesting whiplash between a dude with a mustache who wants those photos and this dude who's going on a desert bender.
So that's the thing I like about it as well, is like because again, establishing how long Sandberg's been, or Niles has been in it. Is it Niles or Miles? I can't
Niles
remember.
with an N.
Okay, it just establishes how long he's been in there, because there is a legitimate torture montage when Roy is torturing him.
It's so
so
good.
many different ways.
Yeah, this movie's really great.
I like the fact that he's like, yeah, well, he lives down in Irving, so I only see him like every week or so, I guess. I don't know.
He comes around every once in a while. Yeah.
Oh, Roy is so good in this, but we'll get there anyway. And at which point Sarah gets you've got to be a good person, because that's the Groundhog Day theory, is you be a good person and you get out the loop. You stop being so self-centered. What's the most selfless thing you can do? And I get the feeling the only reason she doesn't say it on the microphone, but she whispers it to her sister, is because he's there and he's in the loop.
Yeah, I get the impression that she's she doesn't want to admit that she has been not only doing the wrong thing, but that, as we find out fairly shortly, that every morning she wakes up, then the Superman that she's been sleeping with is there. Which it took me about half of this movie to realize, where have I seen this dude? Right, he's Superman.
Yes, he is the Arrowverse Superman of all Superman.
I was like, God, I've seen him in definitely a couple of things. So, and it's also a good little, like, what did she say? Are we ever genuinely going to figure it out? Thankfully we do, but yeah, that's a pretty great scene.
Well, yeah, she does that, then they have a relatively normal night, and then she wakes back up in the bedroom, which I love this because it doesn't show her eyes open this loop, on loop number 5 for us. It doesn't show her eyes open, it only shows his eyes open, and then someone's pounding on the door. She basically kicked the door open. It's like, life is meaningless, let's get out of here.
That's right. Yeah, her like descent.
Where I lose count of the loops as well.
Yeah, because they start montaging it up a little bit here, which is, I mean, leaning into her kind of adopting his philosophies of like, well, I mean, if we're never getting out of this purgatory, I mean, might as well just get drunk and have some pizza and enjoy it, right? Like, let's go nuts, man.
And so yeah, was there anything in particular from these montages that stood out to you?
Not really. I think this is after they go to the desert and they sleep together, right? Or is that part of this whole scene?
That's the end. Yeah, that's at the end of this montage, I believe.
Yeah, I think the rest of it is just a lot of like, woohoo, having fun in the time loop, which we would probably do.
They steal a plane, dude.
They do steal a plane. The explosion of that plane crashing is so good.
I just like that. Like they steal the plane. You got the firing range montage where the goat shows up for the first time.
That's right.
And it's literally the skeevy dude in the middle of the desert with a pet goat and an RPG on his shoulder, and like you know what that's hinting at.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we'll just shoot the guy in the mustache. You know,
Yep.
the one who ran away with his wife.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Like all the little character moments.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, that's fantastic. Like, there's the the darts montage where like he's playing darts with the lady in the bar.
Right.
It's like, you're a really bad hustler. It's like, I'm an honest person, and it's like 2.5 bullseyes in one. It's great.
Right.
Oh, we do get the how many people have you slept with conversation with
Yes.
another incredible montage, by the way.
The montage ending with him flirting with Peter Gallagher, which is a really great scene, and then that just cutting away.
Yeah. Oh, I slept with your dad.
Right.
No, I didn't. I'm just kidding.
That's really good.
So, and you could tell that him and Gallagher and Sandberg are doing their best to not lose it when they're in that scene.
They got a good like 30 seconds of good footage.
Yeah, and they use every second of it.
That's right.
It's so good. But yeah, like so a whole bunch of that. The dance routine that you see them practicing in the montage
Yes.
that they go and do in the bar, which is random and okay, sure. To do Sarah, we learn more about Sarah's history, being married, not being married,
Right.
so on and so forth.
Right.
The loop is ?1 I have here. So this is the loop where everything changes. So obviously we've already had the happy millionth birthday. I think the happy millionth birthday dingbat or whatever it is sign.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that leads to them camping in the desert, doing mushrooms, seeing dinosaurs.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's when they finally sleep together. That's also when the very next day, when she wakes up, I think that's when we figure out who she's been sleeping with.
I think so. Yeah. The timeline is a little bit squiffy for me, but I think that's right.
Yeah. And because she kind of has a disconnect because she's going through all this happy fun time, and then she takes too long in bed, and then he comes out the shower, and it's like a snap to reality of her being like, crap, I do wake up having just done this every single night.
And like Niles is waking up with not a great day either, because he knows that she's cheating on him, and his girlfriend clearly doesn't like him at all. But man, Sarah's waking up with a way worse, where it's like, hey, good morning, you messed up.
Every single morning. But that's the whole disconnect one.
Right.
And at that point she has the little bit of a snap. They go on the road trip. There's a cop who's been following them for ages. And of course, the cop is Roy.
I genuinely didn't see that coming, even after Happy Death Day. I didn't see that coming. I was just like, yeah, I don't like desert cops. They're probably bored. They're weird. I live in the desert. People are weird out here. But yeah, I genuinely didn't see that being Roy until he started talking. I was like, it's J.K. Simmons again.
Yeah, you should really follow that first instinct. And I like the fact that she runs off to like pretend like he's kidnapped her.
Right.
And then legitimately sandwiches in between two cars. Like she crashes the cop car into Roy.
That's rough, man. Yeah.
And then right when they're in the middle of an argument about what she's doing and nothing matters, right, kind of thing, the bicycle cop shows up.
I like that neither of them care about the cop, because it's like, look, we're having an argument. None of this matters at all. Like, you can take a seat here, man.
Like, it's ridiculously good. And the whole, what are you gonna tase me? You're gonna tase me? You're gonna tase me? As she does like the Ace Ventura moving towards him kind of thing, except she doesn't get tased.
Right.
She actually causes Niles to be tased, which is hilarious to me. So yeah, that happens. Then obviously, I think it cuts then to them being in handcuffs next to the car. And I
Yeah.
want to bring attention to this moment specifically because this is the "you remember what you do" moment.
Yes, and he reinforces it with accidentally unveiling the secret.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's that, and it's him explaining how, like, yeah, when you do mean things to other people, they might not remember it, but you do. The
Yeah.
pain is real. And he's not specifically talking about your pain.
Right.
He's talking about causing pain to others, which is
Right.
like, how long has he been in this loop to get to the point where he's causing pain to others for fun,
Right.
realize how messed up that is, and then
Right.
come back from that and have learned a moral lesson from
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
and then he goes and says like he accidentally lets slip that they've slept together a whole bunch of times before the previous night in different loops, and understandably she's upset. Um,
uh-huh.
you know, I feel like throughout the whole movie, I have sort of assumed that's been happening, and he was just too chicken to talk to her about it because he's good times Niles, like nothing matters anymore, nihilism, like whatever, we're here to have a good time in purgatory. And there was always this kind of nagging question in the back of my mind of like, you've already done this before, like I almost guaranteed you had to have done this before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Her response is, "I'm going to get out of this place,"
Mm-hmm.
and she vanishes.
the A really, really great part of this movie is when he wakes up the next day and goes looks for her, and she's just gone. She's gone for
Uh-huh.
days and weeks and who knows how long, and she just disappears. And like, of course, your first reaction is, "Oh my god, I think she actually did it." But thankfully, we'd later figure out that that's not the case. But looking at the summary here, this is what happens before we figure out what she's been doing. We get the Niles visits Roy at his house in Irvine.
Yeah. I think this is before that though. I think is when he figures out what her secret was.
Yeah, because I don't remember how
He goes on a downward spiral of downward spirals.
Oh, right, because
Um,
he smells her shampoo on his pillowcase yeah,
uh-huh.
and then he does the Exhibit A sort of thing. That's a great scene too.
Yeah, I love that scene so much.
Well, it reinforces too that not only is he really falling for her, and this is how much time they've spent together, is that he knows what her shampoo smells like, but it's kind of his understanding that maybe he hit it a little too close to home for her as well, saying like the hurt you do to others matters. Like clearly what she did to her sister by sleeping with her fiance the day before the wedding was a bad thing.
Uh-huh.
And maybe that was kind of the straw that broke that guilty camel's back at that point.
Yeah.
I do like the visit with Roy though. It is this kind of bittersweet kind of thing where Roy is like, "Look, I have a good life. Like things are good here. Like you tell me I get to spend the rest of the day in the rest of my life in this good day. All right, man, I'll take it. Like it could be a lot worse." There's a really great comedic timing moment of Roy saying like, "I think you need to leave pretty soon. You're freaking out my wife." And Niles looks over and the blind
The
snapshot really
blind
quick.
shot. Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah.
And I think the thing there as well is Roy actually says like, like I was very angry at you.
Yeah.
And then that day happened. And then I got taken to the hospital. And then the damn nurses wouldn't let me sleep
Right.
because they thought I would go into a coma. And again, the line gets delivered really nicely here. Dying slow in the ICU is not a good way to go.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like, it's great. Like, he used that moment of him getting crushed between two cars and spending who knows how long
Mm-hmm.
forced awake in the ICU and he ends up coming out of it with a bit of a zen moment, we'll say.
Yeah, like I feel like the thing that Roy figures out is the thing that Niles has never gotten to, which is it could be a whole lot worse than having a pretty good day for the rest of your life. You know, and like Niles is upset that he's missing something or it's not the perfect day or whatever, but you know, it's all right. It's a pretty good eternity. Except for his kid watering the dog poop over in the corner.
Yes.
And I do one of my favorite Niles scenes here though is he asks Roy to kill him one last time just to avoid the traffic. I just like that it's so routine and Roy is just like, "Oh, well yeah, of course." Like, I don't want you to sit in traffic.
Go to the side. Let's go to the side alley and then stand in a recycling tote while I shoot you in the heart with an arrow.
Oh my god. I just love the like mundanity of it. It was like, well, I don't want you to sit in traffic. Like, all right, let's come over. I'll kill you. Don't worry about it. Yeah, oh god, it's so good. Yeah. Yeah, we find out that Sarah has been studying quantum physics and general relativity and has figured out I know how to break the time loop.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
The Galaxy Brain meme existed by this point. They should have done the Galaxy Brain meme.
It's true. They should have had the the guy she calls, or whoever she calls that says like, "I don't think you need my help." They should have had that guy do it. But yeah, I like that she comes back and I was just like, oh my god, incredible, things are gonna go back to how they were. She's like, no, like I want to give you an opportunity. I know how to get out of here. Well, I'm pretty sure I know how to get out of here, but let's go do it. Like you shouldn't be in this. Like, you're miserable. And he professes his love to her and says like, well, we're in love, like we should stay here together forever. Like it's the perfect thing. Why would we want to break this and potentially mess it up? And one of probably my favorite line in this movie, she says like, well, what if we get sick of each other? And he says, we're already sick of each other. It's the best. Like, that's my favorite line in this movie, where it's like, man, he really does love her. Like, yeah, we're already sick of each other and it's incredible. I love you so much. And of course he yet again chickens out, and says like, no, I'm gonna it's pretty perfect here. I'm gonna stay here. No big deal. Until he thankfully comes to his senses later, and she unveils that her plan with blowing up the goat appears to have blowing up the goat with C4 apparently has made the goat escape the loop. So let's blow ourselves up, which shockingly works. I like that they stretch the unveiling that it's November 10th as long as they possibly can. And
we missed a great line of delivery, by the way, when Sarah gets changed into a dress after explaining the plan. Let's piece the F out of this S-hole is one of the best deliveries of lines.
It's really good.
In the whole movie.
And there's also that conversation that Sarah has with the older lady at the wedding, where it's sort of like, is that lady in the wedding in the loop too? Like, is she's just like having a really great time?
This is a theory. This is a genuine theory that yes, she is in the loop.
Yeah, she's having a great time at the party.
Like, I've seen more weddings than you would realize.
Yep.
And it looks like you might be going soon.
Right.
So have
Wink.
fun, kind of thing.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
She is 100% in the loop, as far as I'm concerned.
I think it's a fun theory. Yeah. I do like the I'm glad there was a mid-credits scene where Roy busts in on the wedding to ask Niles if their escape has worked, and Niles has never seen Roy before in his life. That's a really a really, really good, like, just putting that last final bow on the movie.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he's got the option. Should he choose to, he can now leave the loop.
Right. Yeah, because Sarah called Roy on
She
the
left him a
phone.
voicemail.
Yeah, before they left the loop. Um,
I like the fact that that voicemail, when we jump into it,
mhm.
is it's starting with her apologizing for that again.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that again.
Yeah.
Probably meaning, crushing him between two cars.
Right. I really like this movie. Um, I feel like if we were not in the middle of a horrible global pandemic, this movie would probably hit really hard. But being trapped in my house with my family, whom I love very dearly, like, nobody misunderstand, for the last 2 years straight, feels an awful lot like this movie. And it's
Shocker that this movie that came out in the middle of the pandemic.
right. Yeah, it has been nice of. I feel like a lot of us have come to our own terms of, how do we make the best of this situation we're stuck in? Are you going to sit here and be bitter about it and miserable and complain about it every day, or are you going to try and find your zen about it? Or are you going to try and have your kid water the dog poop over there? So I think that especially has been really good. But man, this is just a really super well written, very tight. Number one, the loop stuff is really tight. Like, there's enough
Yes.
explanation to kind of make sense. There's not too much science in there to say, to be able to, poke it apart. There's an interesting way that they have to escape it, and it actually does work. And man, the comedic timing of both Andy and Kristen are both fantastic. Of course, J.K. Simmons is great, as he always is.
Yeah.
The two leads are both fantastic. Not only in their comedic delivery, but man, you can tell not only did they have chemistry, but they were having a blast making this movie when it came down to, like, doing fun, crazy stuff montages. Like, that felt like they were having a good fun time.
Yeah. It really did. Like, that's one of the things is, I honestly get the feeling that the people in this movie were having fun making it at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. This is one of those movies
Really.
I just genuinely don't have anything bad to say about. Like,
Uh-huh.
I wish there was something I could pad this outro with, some criticism or something, but it's just really good. I'm excited to watch it again. It definitely feels like one of those movies that you would kind of want to watch once a year. It's like, yeah, it's been about a year since I watched Palm Springs. I could go watch that again. I can be in the mood for it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I watched it again this time, and I think the last time I saw it twice really quick when it came out. I haven't watched it since. It's like, yeah, this is really good still.
Yeah.
Like, really, really good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We have one more loop to go. We'll see you next episode.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Hi. I mean, bye. I don't know.